Thanks everyone for joining us. It's about 1 o'clock here on this Wednesday, the 21st of December, 2022. We're going to wait a minute here, kind of talk first about what we're going to do here. We wanted to spend some time on our digital platforms talking about our incoming winter storm. This forecast will be valid for the afternoon and evening here on this Wednesday. If there's any additional updates, of course, you can always get those on WCIA.com/weather. What we'll do is we'll talk about our setup that we've got coming our way. Of course, the entire area now under a winter storm warning. That's all these counties in pink here. And that winter storm warning for some of us here towards the I-55 corridor, the US 51 corridor, starts at 6 a.m. For those of us along I-57, it will start at noon. Find out more about that specific timing. If you're not sure which one you sit in, you can download that WCIA 3 weather app. When you put in your location, you can read that warning straight from the National Weather Service to get more details on that for the start time for planning purposes. So we've got this in place. If you notice here to the north, these reddish colors here, parts of Michigan, northern Indiana, and Iowa do have blizzard warnings now. We will have near blizzard conditions, and there's still a chance that maybe it gets upgraded, but at this point, any warnings or wordings in that point is just gimmicks here. It's just, it doesn't really matter here. We want to talk about the impacts. That's what I want to focus on for us here. So folks are checking in. I will be looking at the chat here at some point during the end. So if you have a question, you can put it in there now. I'll get back and look at them, or at the end I'll solicit for questions again and we can have those answered. But I'm seeing folks all over the place checking on in from all across the area. Cindy over in Meridosia, that's in Morgan County. She's here. And we've got Jill in Urbana, and looks like we've got Zoe in Effingham, and Paris checking in, Chris from there. So far, it looks like everything sounded good on my end. Looks good on my end as well. If there is an audio issue, let me know. I saw one comment saying there was an audio issue, so we just want to make sure everything's straightened out here before we get too far along. Okay, folks saying audio a little jagged sounding. Let me just move my mic here a little bit. Audio's still cracking. Still the audio issue. Okay. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to throw these graphics full screen, and I will talk the best I can. And I'm going to get a mic switched out here. So I'm walking back. Let's see. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we should be good on the mic. Again, I apologize. I know that gives folks some time to take care of things here. I just had to switch mics real fast and make that happen. So again, if the mic sounds good, we'll be good to go here. Good. I'm seeing a lot of folks saying it sounds good. So sorry about that. Sometimes we have tech issues. That happens. So we got the mic fixed and all good. It was working. I had the same mic on that I did on WCIA 3 News at noon. So sometime between 12:30 and 1, I suppose that mic decided to give up a little bit maybe. All right, let's jump on in here. First off, I want to show you some new resources as we talk about this winter storm that's coming our way. Again, recapping winter storm warning for the entire area. To the west, it starts at 6 a.m. To the east, it starts at noon. If you aren't sure where you sit in that, the WCIA 3 weather app, you can download that for Apple and Android devices. It will tell you, based on your location, what time the start time is. It does that for all alerts, and it even can follow you. In addition, on TV, that crawl at the bottom We've got it going with that latest information for our area. I want to show you some things on WCIA.com/weather. This is the website right here. You go to WCIA.com, type that in your browser, you'll see this. There's some new things under the weather tab, which are pretty fun to look at. And you can see right now this new row of things. There's a lot more that's been added to that. First off, the first 4 or 5 things might be of interest to you here. And I'm going to switch real quick, pull that full screen so you can look at it. The Weather Now tab, the Weather Now button here, that is the same thing you always go to, WCIA.com/weather. We've got this new thing called the Weather Map Room, and if you haven't had a chance to look at it yet, it's pretty cool to look at. It's got all of these current conditions on there, and from not only us, but even around the country. You got radar loops there for different vantage points. Even has some forecast details today, tonight, tomorrow, and some hour-by-hour planners. All that to help you plan more on what you should do. In addition, we've got local forecasts now available for 6 of our different regions here. The Decatur area, Mattoon, Charleston, Effingham, Springfield, Danville, and Champaign. And if you click on that, we'll just click on Mattoon, Charleston for fun right now. You'll get current conditions for that area. There's a little video we'll update every day. And then you also get some graphics that will help you know what is going on for your regions. So you can see the highs for a lot more cities that way if you're close to Mattoon, Charleston, or any of those 6 metros. Really a cool resource to have. Other things is on that drop-down tab. This one I think you'll be interested in. The third one, the Winter Weather Center. If you are looking for IDOT road conditions, they are available for you there. Just open that tab and you'll see them. So if you're heading out, you want to know, WCIA.com/weather/winter. That's a great place to go to get information. Again, you can check that out here afterwards. After the Facebook Live. I've got those links also in the description here for that. So I think that's a cool way to get to know some information there. We'll have our weather blog. That tab, you'll see that also linked to our app, our news app. At this point, we have not activated the blog, but if you click that, you'll see our blog here when it is live. We think we may go with that live by tonight since those impacts are coming for the morning hours. And so there's some different links can get you around, school closings and whatnot. Although it seems like most schools should be out by now for the winter break. And then there's some other things too. You can directly link to those different metro area forecasts that we have built in there. And so I think it's worth your time to check that out. All right, let's talk about the winter weather impacts. I want to spend some time here. This is a multi-faceted winter system for us here. Lots of different impacts to talk about. We will have a little bit of snow, and in normal circumstances, the snow would not be problematic, but it is for a couple of reasons. The wind and the cold. It's a different ball game for us here as the snow and the cold and the wind combined are going to cause some hazardous travels here across the region. Starting Thursday morning early, there may be a little bit of snow in areas to the west. From west to east, those hazards will increase during the day, and we'll time that out for you here coming up. But the impact-wise, wind gusts of 50-plus miles per hour possible Thursday evening, Thursday night, through the day on Friday, and into Saturday. Wind chill values, because of that, they could be as cold as 30 below, if not colder than that. That's dangerous to get trapped or caught out in there. And with the 50-mile-an-hour gust, blowing snow is another one of those concerns for us, why we think the hazardous travel may very well be a factor here moving forth. Currently, we look at the satellite and radar. Our system is off to the north and west of us, starting to get the first snow in Minnesota, Iowa, and the Dakotas. That cold air is surging south here. In Montana this morning, near Missoula, there was one place that had a 70-degree below zero wind chill. That gives you an idea of this air mass. It's not an Arctic air mass, it's a Siberian air mass, extremely cold. The good news is we don't get quite that cold here, but it just tells you how much coldness there is behind it here. Currently right now in Rapid City, South Dakota, it feels like 41 below zero, 33 below zero in Bismarck. See those areas that are, it's missing color. It's so cold, we don't have a color scale built for it. And that cold air will spill our way. It won't be down to 60, 70 below, but still 30, 35 below is very much on the table for us here with those wind chill values. Future track here shows the cold air as it comes. It brings some snow with it. Tomorrow morning early, we'll watch to see if we can't get a little drizzle or some light showers or a little wintry mix. If that happens, I think that's only going to worsen those roads here, and I'll explain why in a minute. The main event, though, is a band of snow that comes in on the back side here as this low pressure slides on through. The snow exits fairly quickly. It'll be here probably a 6-hour window of the worst of the snow, but the wind and the cold on the back side will make things quite treacherous, I think, for a good 48-hour period starting tomorrow afternoon, lasting through the first half of Saturday, and then finally Sunday, maybe we'll see some improvement. I want to file this in the back of your mind. Early next week, there might be another little clipper system coming our way. We're not going to worry about that now, but with holiday travel, that's something to consider here moving forth. Let's talk here impacts. Again, snow amounts, medium impacts. I mean, we would be fine with our snowfall forecast with what we have on the board now if it wasn't for the other things here. The wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour. Some power outages are possible. I don't think it's a widespread problem, but I still think it's a good idea to have your phone plugged in. Think about, just having a way to keep your pipes from freezing. We think about things like that here. It shouldn't be a widespread issue, but all it takes is, there's a limb that was weakened from a prior windstorm in your backyard, and it falls in that power line, and now you're out of power. That's all it takes here. So we want to advise that at least there could be some scattered ones, but I don't think the whole area is getting shut down with power. We'll just keep our fingers crossed that we can keep away from any more problems with that here. The cold temperatures, it will be dangerous out there. 30 below at the coldest point. It's likely that if you're out and you have exposed skin, you can see frostbite in less than 30 minutes, and hypothermia can set in just as quickly with that. And so the cold temperatures, we get cold. This maybe is probably on the more extremer end of the cold for us here. Something that we'll continue to see. Of course, the flash freeze is something we've talked about, and we'll break that down more. I think that's really going to make road conditions turn pretty bad fairly quickly here as we go into Thursday morning into the afternoon. So, future track. Let's look here and take a peek at it. Wednesday, this is 7 o'clock. We've got clouds in here. At some point Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it wouldn't surprise me for some pockets of drizzle or mist or a little wintry mix. And that's something that we'll keep an eye on here. Future track has been aggressive in recent runs, suggesting that maybe we would have some somewhere. How far north it gets will remain to be seen, but I still think that if that happens, it only worsens the problem. The lack of it's not going to help us out any. This right here is a little initial snow band, but the main band is still far behind here. And you can see that filling in across the region, looking to approach and cross I-57 sometime between 10 and noon, it seems like, and then it continues off to the east, and we'll be dealing with snow through the afternoon. Here's the kicker, though. Look what happens with temperatures as that front pushes on through. We're in the 30s, 9:30 a.m., 34 in Champaign, 35 in Danville. If there's a little drizzle that falls and hits the ground, it's going to stay as water. It's not going to instantly freeze, but it will once this front moves on through. We're down to 32 at 11:30, 10 degrees in Jacksonville. At 2 o'clock now, all of a sudden we're at 18 and free-falling those temperatures. If there's any moisture on the roads here, this is going to freeze up pretty quickly. Even the first bit of snow as it falls will probably melt a little bit, and it may take some time for the road crews to catch up because it's doing it all at once here in a very short period of time. They can only cover so much ground, and so I think it's a safe bet that we will have some slick roadways, and the snow will continue. With temperatures like that, it will be powdery and fluffy, and it may become heavy at times here at 10 o'clock. Temperatures are below zero. That is a concern for us. The snow continues to fall through about 9, 10 o'clock. We may wrap up with the snow here in east central Illinois after 5, 6 o'clock, and by 10, 11, it looks like it's out of here. Still, though, even though the snow that is falling has left, it's the wind that is going to be the big problem here. We don't see any falling snow, we think, on Friday. We just see it all blowing around. And it doesn't take much for that to become a problem here. Wind gusts are showing as that front rolls on in. They'll pick up pretty immediately out of the north and west and likely see 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts initially. And that will only strengthen, I think, Thursday night, Friday, wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles an hour, if not a little higher. That is a safe bet here. And that's going to take that powdery snow and blow it all over the place here. That snow is not going to stick very well to things. And so that's why we're concerned about those whiteout conditions across the region. And we'll still even Saturday here. Future Track has been a little more aggressive, saying the winds stay up into Saturday more. That would be a concern for us if that's the case, where we would still have blowing and drifting of snow on Saturday. But if we've got those road crews that are working as hard as they can, we might have at least conditions slowly improving. But when that snow's blowing, if they plow through and clear the roads, it's only filling itself back on in there. And that may even continue into Saturday night and Sunday before we see at least some reduction in the wind. So that's why we were concerned for a bit of an extended period of time here with that. All right, so the wind chill values, remember we got down to below zero by about, was it 7, 8 o'clock or so? Look at 10 p.m. here. Wind chill values tomorrow evening when we are doing the newscast at 10 o'clock should be well below zero, 20 to 30 below on the table here, and it will stay that way through much of the day Friday. Wind chill values not improving much here. I think I saw minus 25 briefly. There's a little warm up there, but we are going to be bitter cold. Saturday, still below zero. Even into Sunday, we're below zero. I think we're going for about a 92, maybe 94-hour stretch at a minimum of wind chill values below zero, and at times well below zero here. And that's the danger that we really are concerned about with such cold air. Really going to cause problems. We'll get a little more mild into next week. That's something that we're going to keep an eye on. As we look here, snowfall forecast, you've seen this. There's not really been much changes for us here. The snowfall forecast, we're still doing the broad 2 to 4 inch brush here. Whether it's 2 inches or 3 inches or 3.75 inches or 4 inches, it doesn't really matter. We just need at least an inch. You know, we need some snow, and that's going to cause those blowing and drifting conditions here. If there was slightly higher totals, that'd probably be to the north and east, maybe slightly lower to the south and west, but I think 2 to 4 is a good median amount for us, and this will fall through Friday morning when all the snow exits. Let's talk about the timing, that flash freeze. When does the front arrive? When do temperatures start to free fall? Again, it may drop 20 degrees an hour. In Montana this morning, there was one observation site. In 3 minutes, it dropped 26 degrees. So we're going to very much be concerned about that flash freeze setup with us here. If there's any moisture, whether it's a little drizzle, whether it's the first snowflakes that fall and melt, it will freeze and cause black ice to be a problem here. 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. here for Lincoln, Springfield, and Jacksonville will be the most likely earliest time of arrival. We'll go with 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here for Effingham, Decatur, Mattoon, Charleston, Champaign, perhaps to Danville, Watseka, and Pontiac. And then I've got Paris, some of our West Indiana counties after 12 o'clock for the arrival of that here in central Illinois. The impacts timeline, really the morning, there'll be an initial time, you might head to work or something of that sort early, and I think you'll be just fine. When you're on the way home, though, we're well up here into those high and potentially very high impacts. And with that blowing and drifting of snow Friday, I think it's going to be rough to be out and about. State police is already issuing an advisory discouraging travel if you can avoid it. I know there are folks that have to travel. We've got nurses and firefighters and people with essential jobs and whatnot. They've got to go. And that's why we built that winter weather center, is so they can look at those road conditions and understand that the conditions that they'll be seeing here on our website. I think it's a great resource if you do have to go. If you're trying to just holiday travel, let's think of it this way. Last February, when we had all those wrecks on the interstate, it wasn't necessarily all central Illinois drivers. What it was is we had a lot of drivers coming in from out of state, a lot of semi-drivers. They weren't really aware of what was happening, and that may be part of the issue too, is it just takes a couple of wrecks and we've got traffic backed up, and then you're stuck in that freezing weather here, and I think those road conditions are going to be horrible as is without all of that. So that's the consideration here. It's a free country. You can do what you want, but I told my wife, I said she probably needs to be home tomorrow morning, and she can plan to stay home, bake cookies, she can read books, she can do whatever she wants. And she'll be doing that. That's if I give that advice to my wife, I'd probably give you that advice too for that. We'll watch Saturday. Still, if the wind is stronger, those impacts may still be there, and we'll be hopeful we can travel Saturday into Sunday. Christmas being Sunday, Christmas Eve and Saturday, that's definitely a concern. I know folks want to get to where they want to go, and some folks are just going to do it anyways. But with these dangerous conditions, that's something that we will be keeping an eye on. So that is the impacts timeline. Again, I'll throw this graphic back up full screen, and that way you can just see it here. It's a multifaceted system here. This winter weather system the winter storm warning. Usually winter storm warnings are reserved for 6 inches or more. It is the impacts that is driving this to be more of a concern here. And so that is the expectation that we will have pretty much problematic conditions. I said this on Facebook. I'll say this here. This is not a snowstorm. This is not a, let me look you in the eye here. This is not a snowstorm. This is a wind storm, and it is a cold storm. The snow is only making things worse here. Again, 2 to 4 inches, we can handle that. We've driven in that before. We've gotten that plenty of times, but what makes this different is the wind gusts, these extreme wind chills, the potential dangers that are associated with that, and those road conditions. Salt and brine and your traditional treatments, they don't really work very well in conditions that are this cold. And so those road conditions may stay that way for a while. The blowing and drifting of snow causing significant reductions in visibilities, at times near whiteout conditions. It's just a recipe with the travel weekend that is one that I would not make on cooking up a storm. I would not make that recipe, but that's what we got, and something that we'll continue to watch here. So that is basically the focus of this. Now, I like to end my Facebook Lives with questions, and I'm going to do that, but I want to bring you some good news. I've got some good news for you here. If you're already tired of, if you think it's cold now, just wait for a stop. But if you're tired of the cold and you're ready for it to be over, look at this. Check this out here. This is the 8 to 14 day outlook. Now, we use the 8 to 14 day outlook. We also use some of the 3 to 4 week outlooks. We've been talking about this cold blast since the beginning of the month, just hinting at it. Hey, something's coming second half of the month. It's going to get colder. We've known this is going to be the case. The 8 to 14 day outlook here, the odds of above normal temperatures are really high here. We may round out into New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, sometime in there, and a couple of days around that. We may make a run for 50. How about that, right? From one extreme to the other. I will say this, La Nina winters tend to be like this. Precip, we tend to see more of a trend towards the wetter side as we get to January, February. Usually, though, temperatures, if you look at the data just point blank, it says near normal temperatures, but what happens is we see more of these bigger fluctuations here. The last 2 winters were La Nina winters. We got those bitter cold blasts in February, and we had plenty of warm weather too in parts of the last couple of winters. So this is no exception. The difference, instead of February, now it's late December and it's Christmas this year. But that pattern does not surprise me at all. So maybe we get some 50s on the board before all is said and done. Again, that is somewhere towards the turn of the calendar into a new year. We'll keep you updated on that, but use that as some hope if you are tired of the winter weather. Okay, I'm going to pull back up my impacts here and do that. We're going to take any questions you have. If you have a question here on the side or perhaps below, depending on what platform you're on, type in a comment or a question. I'll go back and look at those. Other than that, that's the information I have for you. Remember, WCIA.com/weather. You can get all the forecast details there. You also can use those links that are in the description of this live video and check out the Winter Weather Center. Check out the map room. The map room's really cool. If you know someone who is excited about weather often, you will want to show them the map room. You know, I think there's some kids here who like the weather. They'd probably love to get their hands on that, and you can watch those conditions. As long as the lights are on, as long as the computers are working here, that's updating constantly. It's constantly refreshing with information on that map room, and we'll be sure to make sure of that as a cool resource. It's fun. I've been looking at it at home myself. My wife's probably driven bonkers by me always looking at the map room, but it's a great way to just keep up to date with current conditions and even some forecast details on our website. Okay, we're going to scroll back through the questions real quick, and I know we're getting a bunch now. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning and just do a quick glance on through, make sure we answer those. Of course, we had the audio issues. Audio is bad. A lot of you stuck on with me through that. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. Crystal asking about a specific travel destination. I don't want to say it's going to be clear, but just the closer we get to lunchtime, the worst conditions will be. Remember, the Winter Weather Center will have the road conditions for you. It's a great way to stay connected. But the later you're out in the morning and the later into the afternoon, the higher the risk will be. The weather map room, you can see those temperatures coming too. That'll give you an idea of where that front is and where it will be. Okay. Okay, there's a lot of people, it's the audio issues. I'm still scrolling through those comments here. I love this. It's not how it works, but that'd be pretty fun. Every time the mic glitches, we get another 5 inches of snow. Maybe we'll save that snow for February. How's that sound? I'm kidding, but maybe not. Losing power odds. Again, I'm going to say here with power outages, they're possible. I don't think it's a widespread issue, but it just takes a limb falling on the right line or a little ice on a line with the strong winds where I would expect to see some power outages. Better chances probably in rural areas, and that's where those worst road conditions will be as well. But it's just something to file away in the back of your mind. Hey, you're going to bed tonight, plug in your phone, whatever else, your laptop, and just so you have that to stay connected. Chris asking about a blizzard warning. The one thing about a blizzard warning here, at this point, it's just schematics. It's just words for the type of weather headlines. We have the winter storm warning, whether it's that, whether it is a blizzard warning. From a schematic standpoint, from a wording standpoint, we're right there at that definition for a blizzard warning where we've got those strong winds and we've got that blowing snow. It certainly is possible that we get upgraded. If it doesn't, I don't think it changes what's happening for us here. That's one reason why, I know there's some places around here that are releasing model snowfall maps. You've probably seen them. There were a bunch of them going around saying, just buckets and buckets of snow. And we didn't ever have that in our forecast, but we started with the impacts. How is this going to affect you? That's how we'll take these weather systems for you, is how's it going to impact you? And we knew from the get-go at some point, whether it ended up being a big snow or just a little snow, those impacts were going to win out here with the strong wind chill values, the strong winds and the freezing wind chill values here. And that's why we always go with impact-based forecasting here at WCIA. So the blizzard warning or not, we're still going to have blowing and drifting snow. It's not like the weather's waiting for the National Weather Service to do that. It's more like, does the National Weather Service feel the need to upgrade, or are they comfortable with the wording of the winter storm warning? If you read that winter storm warning on your app, the details on there, it will talk about the whiteout conditions that can be expected. Kate asking about Springfield to Champaign on Saturday afternoon. We're really just going to have to watch those road conditions at this point. In February, it took some time to clear things off. With temperatures so cold, we'll have that same problem. Again, that Winter Weather Center will be a great resource, and we'll keep you updated, but we at least are hitting the message at this point that starting Thursday afternoon through at least the first half of Saturday, road conditions may not be all that great out there. And so that's something that we'll continue to watch and keep an eye on. Wind chills on Monday. Finally, Monday. At this point, we're forecasting wind chill values in the single digits. And we get those temperatures. I think on my 7-day forecast, I've got 20s back early next week. So, don't break out the summer clothes yet, but there's signs that we will at least warm up a little bit here in the region. 10 degrees above zero is going to feel really balmy compared to 30, 35 below. It's really cold, but relative, it'll feel that way. Again, I've got that blizzard question. John asking about the state police press release for the storm. If you want to look at the travel advisory, I saw them shared on their Facebook page, and we're putting a story on our website, WCIA.com, about that as well. The individual units, I saw Pontiac and Ashcombe released their travel advisory for that, and so you can see what they're saying. Their Facebook page is a great way to stay connected with that. Megan asking about the day after Christmas. That'd be Monday. We're heading in the right direction, and we might get some thawing out by Monday. Still, though, I've got single-digit lows at night to start Monday night next week, so that's still going to at least cause some concern for us. Cindy over in Meridosia Morgan County, what time do you say this is going to start? It'll be early start towards the Illinois River. We're as early as 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then for a good chunk of the east central Illinois after 10 a.m. That graphic is on the forecast page. If you missed it, I'll put it back up here as well. 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. the early start arrival, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. during that window, after 12 p.m. there to the south and east in the red. That map you can find on the forecast page. Haley asking about when should travel be done. The concern here about travel is once it starts, it's going to deteriorate very quickly here. That's the expectation. It's not going to be a gradual ease in type of thing. This front hits, and you'll know that if you start feeling those temperatures plummet, you probably want to think about heading home here across the region. What is the one best piece of winter storm preparedness advice do you have? You know, I think at this point, if you have to go out, you got to have a way to stay warm. Think about blankets and things like that in your car for this particular system. There's concern particularly for the cold, the extreme cold here. Road conditions will be bad, but if you put yourself in a situation where you need rescued or you're left exposed in the elements, you know, we're talking about hypothermia in 30 minutes. Frostbite in under 30 minutes, and that's the danger I think that is here. The snow amounts we would have, we can handle that in a normal event, but the wind and the cold is a different business here, and that's what we will continue to see. This is a great point here. Deborah is saying could be feel like an 80-degree difference in 7 days. You're right about that. That's not out of the question. It could be something really fascinating to see here. Travel safety kits, yes. We've been doing news stories about it. If you've got questions or you want some tips, there is a story on our website about winter weather safety and preparedness there. Travel tips is what we're watching. Okay, still questions about when the blizzard warning. That's up to the National Weather Service. We don't issue warnings. We'll tell you the impacts. And again, it's just schematics here. They may consider at some point, they might not, but it's not going to affect how the impacts will be for this. Rick is just blatantly wrong here about the forecast. That's not what we're forecasting there. I know there's been some pages that have said this and that. We are still on track for 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts, and we are still on track for a little bit of snow in the range of 2 to 4 inches here across the region. That is the concern for us at this point, and there may be some spots that end up squeezing 3 to 5 out of it, but this is still what we're looking at here. I think folks thinking, oh, it's not happening. The snow is not as much. So that means nothing else is as much. The cold and the wind will mean business here. And all we need is, even just an inch of snow will cause problems with the roads here in central Illinois. Ooh, Sandy, yes. Animals, you can't leave them outside if they don't have a way to stay warm. Your pets, your dogs, your cats, they've got to have a way to stay warm if they're left outside. But, it's a good idea to bring them in. Yeah, again, Nathan asking about those travel conditions, high roads, the high wind, the roads will cover back up. That will be especially noticeable in the rural areas. In town we've got buildings and trees and houses and things like that can help block the wind, but it's still not going to be a spring pickle out there. It's going to be a bit rough here across the region. Erica's saying she works 10 to 7 tomorrow. Honestly, Erica, depending on where you are, I think by 7 o'clock things are pretty dicey here. And really, for some of us, by the lunch hour into the early afternoon, it's going to be dicey. I would love to answer all these specific questions like this one here, but we have a Weather Now article, we've got the video, we've got all that. Go check that information out. I put a lot of time into timing things out for you. I know there'll be some more questions about that and whatnot. Another thing, too, the WCIA 3 weather app, you can actually take that with you on the go. If you're planning to travel somewhere, you can put in your location. I've done some what's the word? Some places I'm interested in around the world. Just put those in there. I've got family in different places. That's a great way to go. So this is what we got. This is my forecast. I'm sticking with this. I still think we're going to have those impacts, whether it's a blizzard warning or a winter storm warning. We only need a couple of inches of snow, and roads in the rural areas, those highways and freeways, country roads, they will get icy pretty quickly here in the region. Still expecting impacts. The thing is it's not going to be a gradual ease in. Sometimes the snow starts and we've got a few hours. This will be a pretty quick turnaround from, oh, things are great to, ooh, ugh, type of situation for us, it seems. So we'll keep you updated. All right, that's my update for you here on Facebook Live. I'm going to let you go. I've got some other things behind the scene to do. We've been on here for about a half an hour. You can get those details again, WCIA.com/weather. Go to the website, that drop-down menu, click on weather. There's all kinds of cool stuff there. You might spend some time checking it out. Thanks for watching. It is 1:36 on this Wednesday afternoon with this Facebook update. Have a great rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you